Good evening there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Brandon Morvillius. Alongside here with me, as usual, Red-Beard McCoy, as we have your 2020 Delaware County Boys Basketball Tournament preview show on tap here this evening live on the WHS Network. Thank you all for joining us. As here at this little time here, we're just going to talk to you all about all the Delaware County basketball teams, giving you an insight about them, their team stats, players, and all that great information going into what will be the Delaware County tournament starting on Wednesday night. Again, all tournament games will be held at Delta High School. Again, your Raiders got the first round bye, which is fantastic, which we'll get into here right now. The first round, again, starting on Wednesday night, January the 15th. First game will be featuring the Cowan Blackhawks taking on the Westdale Warriors. That will be a 6 o'clock start time there for that one. Well, the second game of the evening will be featuring the Yorktown Tigers taking on the Daleville Broncos. Again, that will be an 8 o'clock start time. Now, the winner of those two games will then play on Friday night, advance to the semifinal round of the 2020 Delaware County Boys Basketball Tournament, in which the winner of the Cowan and Westdale game will then take on your Wampa Honey Raiders at 6 o'clock Friday night, January the 17th, in which that should be an interesting matchup, especially for those of you that would potentially like to see Westdale. I mean, it really doesn't necessarily matter, but you probably kind of like to see them the Raiders get a little bit of a revenge from earlier on this season. But nonetheless, then the winner of the Yorktown and Daleville game will then play against Delta. They also got a first round bye. They will play at 8 o'clock on Friday night, January the 17th, with the 2020 Delaware County Boys Tournament Championship game then being played Saturday, January 18th at 8 o'clock start time. Again, this is all weather permitting. It wouldn't be a county tournament week if we wouldn't potentially have some weather, bad weather that is, and I know we've kind of looked at the forecast there, and Friday and Saturday could be a little bit interesting. We'll kind of wait and see what happens there, but nonetheless, enough of the weather. We'll get down to business here with all these teams here. Taking a look here first at your Wampa Honey Raiders, coming into the week 9-2 on the season. Was winners of their last two games now. Got a big couple of wins over the weekend. Friday night, a big conference win, the first win of the night or the season against Eastern Hancock on the road, and then right back at it Saturday night at Muncie Burris, coming away with another very good win there against the Owls as well. So Raiders riding a little bit of momentum now, coming off of two back-to-back wins. 9-2 again here on the season, averaging 64.3 points a game, only allowing 48.7, so almost nearly a 15-point margin on the good side of things here for your Wampa Honey Raiders. They're also shooting 45% from the field, 257 of 568, while also shooting 37% from beyond the arc, 88 of 236, and then also 64% from the free throw line, 103 of 161. We've kind of struggled throughout the season here. Started off the year really good, so really for the most part, but then last about 4 or 5 games here, we've struggled mightily there from the charity stripe. Also, the Raiders averaging 33.4 rebounds a game, also 12.4 assists, 5.8 steals, and have only turned the ball over an average of 9.5 turnovers a game, so that's very good. You're taking good care of the basketball, not giving away free possessions for your opponent. Now, I will say the only games that Wampa Honey's played so far against any county opponent was against Westdale. It was that 72-69 overtime loss. Back, I think that was like the third or fourth game of the season, and or maybe fifth game of the season. But nonetheless, devastating loss there for us. So I'm sure in some ways, the Raiders might like to look to get back at them, but it doesn't matter who you play against. You're still going into the game looking to win. Now we will take a look here. We have the Raiders again here coming off of two very big wins going into Friday's game, no matter who they play. After we've had this strong start to the season, we've had a few hiccups, but now we're at the part of the season where you're starting to see even more balance here on the offensive end. So hopefully we'll continue to do that, have that well-disciplined, high-octane defense as well that again, hopefully will continue to bring their A game going into the tournament this week, as well as, just staying focused and making each other better. Every single day, whether it be in practice or a ball game, that's what you aim to do. Get better as an individual, but more importantly, as a team, and help make each other stronger. So I'm really looking towards that not only this week, but throughout the rest of the season here for your 9-2 Wapahani Raiders. Now, the Cowan Blackhawks. Speaking of which, here, record of 5-4 on the season, averaging 51.4 points a game, also allowing 57.4. So they're on the losing margin of things by 6 points there, but still nonetheless 5-4, very respectable record. You're above 500. Field goal percentage of 45%, 134 of 295. Also 30% from beyond the arc, 35 of 115. So not all that great of a 3-point shooting team. They get a bulk of their points on the inside, which you'll figure out why here in just a moment. But also a 65% free throw shooting team, 59 of 91. So they really haven't gotten to the free throw really all that much, to be quite honest with you. Also 22.9 rebounds, go along with 9.8 assists, 2.1 steals, and they also turn it over just a little over 16 times a game as well. Now, going into the individual stats here, what I was just talking about with not shooting as many threes and not being as successful is because they have a big man by the name of Riley Duncan, 6'10", I believe the young man is. 17.6 points per game, 9.4 rebounds, also 3 blocks per game as well. A 52% field goal percentage, 52 of 72. Also here you have 19 of 24, 72% from the free throw line. Now also take a look here at Simon Underwood, another guard player here for the Blackhawks, averaging 11 points per game, also 6.7 rebounds, 3.1 assists. He's a 48% three-point shooter from beyond the arc there, 14 of 29, also 51% from all around the floor, inside and outside, and then 9 of 13, 69% from the charity stripe. Again, that is Simon Underwood. And then finally here you have Jacob Thomas, 10.1 points a game, 1.9 rebounds, also 2.4 assists. Another young man, doesn't shoot a whole lot of threes here, 8 of 26, 31% from beyond the arc, 22 of 59, 37% field goal percentage, and 19 of 27, 70% from the free throw line. So again, that's the Cowan Blackhawks, again 5-4 record on the year. Again, they will be taking on the Westdale Warriors. The Warriors coming in to this week 5-5 overall in the season, averaging 68.9 points a game while only allowing 61. So again, they're on the flip side, on the winning side of things, by just a little over 7 a game, nearly 8. But field goal percentage of 46%, 253 of 549 here on the season. Also a 28% three-point percentage, 49 of 177, which is mind-boggling, especially considering the way they shot against us earlier this year. That's you read these numbers off and you're like, where did this all come from? Because that's not what we seen that night. But also 66% from the free throw line, 134 of 203, an average also 25.6 rebounds a game, 15 assists, 11.7 steals, and nearly 14 turnovers a game as well there for the Warriors. Now, a couple players I really like to take a look at here. Keegan Newsom, a guard player here for the Warriors, averaging 14.3 points per game, also 3.7 rebounds, 2.5 assists. Is also a 50% field goal percentage, 51 of 103, 25% from beyond the arc, and 67% from the free throw line. So again, that is Keegan Newsom. Next up here we have Kaden Mcquarrie, 11.5 points per game, 4.2 rebounds. Also, seen a lot of success from him when we played them earlier on this year. A 56% field goal percentage, also 24 of 33, 73% from the free throw line. Next up here, Evan Weitzel, here of the Warriors. 10.1 points per game, also 2.1 rebounds, 2.4 assists, and 1.7 steals on the season, a 40% field goal percentage. Also 7 of 35, 20% from beyond the arc, and then 16 of 22, 73% from the free throw line. And then to wrap it up here, we have Eric Harlan, guard player again here for the Warriors, 8.7 points per game, 3.1 rebounds, also 4.7 assists to go along there with 2 steals a game, a 31% three-point percentage, 4 of 13, also 48% overall field goal percentage, 32 of 67, and then 19 of 34, 56% from the free throw line. So again, just kind of running down the teams here that we could potentially face coming up this week. Wampa, again, taking on the winner of Cowan and Westdale Friday night. I'll send things on over to you there, big guy. He's going to give you the rundown here on Delta, as well as Yorktown and Daleville.
Yeah, thanks, Marv. I'll try to talk a little bit longer than last time.
All right.
Here we go. We'll start with the Yorktown Tigers. They come in at 5-6 on the season. As a team, they average 50.9 points per game while giving up 53.1. From the field, they're 46%, 194 of 425. From the three-point line, they're 36%, 38 of 107. Free throw line, they're 70%, 133 of 191. They average 23.3 rebounds, 9.2 assists, 7.6 steals, and average 16.6 turnovers a game. Individually, we'll start with Luke Dunn. He averages 18.4 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, and 1.7 assists per game. From the three-point line, he's 32%, 12 of 38. Next, we got Jamarius Evans, 10.7 points per game and 5.6 rebounds per game. From the field, he's 57%, 44 of 77. Lastly, we got Walker Moore, 8.7 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game. From the field, he's 35 of 74, good for 47%. Next, we got the Daleville Broncos. They're 4-8 on the season. As a team, they average 52.3 points per game while giving up 54.9. From the field, they're 228 of 553, good for 41%. From the three-point line, they're 51 of 150, good for 34%. And from the free throw line, they're 119 of 197, good for 60%. They average 24.4 rebounds, 9 assists, 7.5 steals, and commit 11.2 turnovers per game. Individually, we'll start with Tim Arnold. He gets 11.8 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, 3.6 assists per game. From the three-point line, he's 33%. From the field, he's 41%. Next, we got Camden Leisure, 11.3 points per game, 2.8 rebounds per game. From the three-point line, he's 27 of 64, good for 42%. Next, we got Connor Fleming, 8.9 points per game, 3.3 rebounds per game, 2.3 assists per game, and 2.5 steals per game. Lastly, we got Travion Johnson. He gets 8.1 points per game, 5.9 rebounds per game. From the field, he's 42 of 70, good for 60%, and he's 52% free throw shooter. Lastly, we got the Delta Eagles. They come in at 7-2 on the season. As a team, they score 56.4 points per game, allowing only 45.2. From the field, they're 47%, 198 of 418. From the three-point line, they're 31%, 48 for 157. As a team, they shoot 70% from the free throw line, 61 of 87. They average 22 rebounds, 10.8 assists, 6.3 steals, and only turn the ball over 9 times a game. Individually, we got Connor Bedwell. He gets 19.3 points per game, 3.3 rebounds. From the field, he's 71 of 121, good for 59%. And from the line, he's 30 for 39, good for 77%. Next, we got Brady Hunt, 15.7 points per game and 8.2 rebounds per game. From the three-point line, he's 13 of 46, good for 28%. Next, we got Simcox. He gets 7.6 points per game, 2.7 rebounds per game. From the three-point line, he's 41%, 14 of 34. From the field, he's 24 of 49, good for 49%. From the free throw line, 6 for 7, good for 86%. Lastly, we got Josh Greenberg. He gets 6 points per game, 2.8 rebounds per game, and 2.2 assists per game. From the three-point line, he's 11 of 42, good for 26%.
All right, well, Redbeard, getting it done here as usual. Again, it's good to hear you talk a little bit here. We're not used to hearing
a little bit
talk.
longer than last time.
Yeah,
just
a little, maybe an extra 2 or 3 seconds or so. But nonetheless, here, folks, we just wanted to give you an outlook about all these teams coming up with the Delaware County Boys Basketball Tournament this week. Again, it's going to be another tough one. Always is every year. Always very interesting, and we're looking forward to it. Again, it's going to be a busy week for us. We got the girls basketball tournament this week, boys basketball tournament as well this week. Luckily for the Raider boys basketball team, we drew the first round bye. So we kind of get to take a little bit more of an extra look at Cowan and Westdale and maybe some of these other teams potentially that we could face. But we hope you all come out. Again, all the games are going to be at Delta High School, so please make the 15, 20-minute drive over there to Delta High School, root them on. Coming up Friday night, again, a 6 o'clock start time for that. We'll have the first game of the evening again as your Wampa Honey Raiders will then take on the winner of the Cowan and Westdale game Friday night, 6 o'clock, January the 17th. Again, championship game Saturday, January the 18th at 8 o'clock as well. Again, all games held at Delta High School. Again, we are not able to broadcast any of the games unless, potentially, if one or both of our teams, the girls or the boys or both, get into the championship game, we will try to broadcast that one. Again, it's about getting getting the availability to where we can broadcast that, the room and everything else to go along with that. So we will try to get that done, again, assuming potentially if one of our or both of our teams get there come Saturday night. But again, we appreciate you all for spending some time here with us tonight, again, with your 2020 Delaware County Boys Basketball Tournament Preview Show. Again, I'm Brandon Morvillius alongside cameraman Jordan Redbeard McCoy saying good night, and we'll see you next time right here on the WHS Network.